today's webinar. We've nicknamed this the need for speed, which today is evident for all of us who are working to try to operate faster, quicker, but at the same time recognize that there are key things that we need to address if we're going to ensure that the automation that we have in place is doing what we need so that we can achieve that speed. And when it comes to something like sales order processing, which contributes effectively to the overwhelming need to generate more revenue for our business and get those orders into the system, this webinar today will address those things for you. So we're glad that you could join us. My name is Bob Monio. I'm the Director of Partners and Sales here in the SMB Business Central segment for Sign Up in North America. And I'm joined by TJ. She's going to be my application consultant for today, who's going to help us as we jump in and do this demonstration of this product for you. So we're glad that you could be with us. And as we engage and we talk about why the focus on order processing and what does order processing excellence really mean, we're going to really set the hook for you on the why now, and how. Because that's always important, especially if you're going to go back into your businesses and talk to your fellow people inside the company and explain why this is key, and also ultimately what it can do for you and as it impacts your business overall. We're going to have a great demonstration that TJ is going to do, and then we'll talk a little bit about what are some of the next steps and where can you go for more information. So with that, why don't we go ahead and get started? And if you have any questions, please feel free to put them into the chat panel. Anthony, our moderator, will be watching everything, and at the end, there'll be an opportunity for questions. So please do make sure you put those into the chat panel, and we'll get those addressed. Also, keep in mind that this is being recorded and will be shared out with everyone afterwards. So let's get started. First, let's talk about sales order processing and why. Certainly, as we know today, management of cash is a crucial concern for organizations. With all the things that are going on out in the market, whether they be tariffs, whether they be high interest rates, a variety of different types of things, the Office of the CFO is focusing very, very hard on the area of cash preservation and cash management. How this extends over into sales is a critical link, because in sales, you're going to want to get the orders in faster, and you're going to want to get quicker time to revenue by getting your sales orders in and getting them processed, so that ultimately then you can fulfill those and achieve and receive that revenue from as an outcome. That being said, automation of sales order has always been something that has been sort of looked at as being a secondary item for many ERPs and many companies, but not so with what we do with Business Central. This is an area that we focus on with a laser light, ensuring that you can go ahead and eliminate the key issues that really bogs down your teams and getting orders into the system, because traditionally it's always been a manual process. Well, we're automating that. We're taking out the manual process and we're making it something that will give you more flexibility. It'll accelerate, the process that's there, take out any inefficiencies or transcription issues, and this combines then with an underlying link into the system from an automation standpoint, which helps you really turn those sales orders into revenue and revenue processing. We do take advantage of some of the tools that we have in our portfolio, such as ExFlow Data Capture, which helps you take those orders in and capture that information, no pun intended, and turn those orders into actionable detail. Really, at the end of the day, it's all about making sure that you're able to then contribute to what the Office of the CFO is trying to do as far as your spend management, and really work to get that spend under control. Now, how do we do it? Just some background here. We do take advantage, as I said, of intelligent data extraction. This is where we will take those incoming sales orders, we'll take the information off of those sales order documents, if they're coming in electronically, if they're coming in via email, however they might be coming in, and transfer that information into Business Central so that we can then begin working with it. We do apply validation, which ensures that you're not going to be getting any type of fraudulent sales orders coming in, because fraud today is a great concern, and we want to ensure that your bad actors out there aren't impacting your sales order processing. Now, we do have some condition handling that we do integrate in, which allows you then to be able to jump in and do some preliminary work with those sales orders, and in turn, as part of transferring them over into actual ongoing order processing, this becomes something then that is crucial to have, and TJ will talk a little bit about this when she gets into the demonstration. And finally, it is a seamless document import process. Underlying all this is the ability for you to eventually store all of these sales orders as they're coming in, with that metadata now being delivered into the Business Central backend. We do have products that help us be able to manage those documents, those physical documents, and other types of things that we have other webinars that we do about. And I think you'll find that as far as the sales order process and these types of reasons, and going back to the underlying need to get them in quicker, process them faster, and turn them to revenue quicker for the business. These are all things that help us do it and do it effectively for you. Now, as we go forward here, I want you to also then take a look at what are some of the key features and capabilities that we deliver to you. Of course, OCR is a fundamental part of what we do. Sales order processing and validation, I spoke of, reporting and analytics, all the things that you would come to expect from a fully featured sales order processing module. Now, there are tools on the market today where people talk about using AI, and we do take advantage of some things around the AI front in the work that we do with predictive analytics and predictive modeling, as far as how it works to help you bring in your sales orders. But at the end of the day, we do provide you all the tools that you need to accomplish this and do it in a proven fashion that'll help you result in quicker time to order recognition and ARR for your business. Now, what the process looks like and what you're going to see when we take a peek, so to speak, with TJ showing this to you, is that end-to-end sales order creation. Starting here with what scanning and data capture, that actual getting in of the documents into the system, whether they're coming in via paper, PDF, or other formats, that import and validation activity that goes on, all the way through the processing and creation and the release of the order into the system. This is all things that you traditionally would have had to do with a lot of other products, and also a lot of user intervention, people inside the organization who would have to handle the order coming through. This is something now that is being done automatically for you. And we do take advantage of some of the things that Microsoft provides to us with Power Apps and also with Copilot. But at the end of the day, you receive a fully automated environment for the processing of your sales orders and delivering it down into Business Central. Now, one thing I will say too is that this is not something that lives outside of Business Central. This is built in. So it takes advantage of all of the key facets that you get from Business Central, such as security, which is crucial. Okay, while we handle security up front and some of the things that we do, we're taking advantage of all the secure protocols and other things that Business Central has. Plus, you're also then able to take advantage of the training aspects of what you've done to train your people to use Business Central, because now they're using the same types of interfaces and same types of tools and other things that they're used to working with. So a tremendous amount of value, because we've built this into Business Central and we're delivering it in such a way that you're able to take advantage of it in that fashion. But again, I've done a lot of talking here and sharing some upfront, prefacing for you as we go through here. I think the real, as we say, the meat is in the matter, and the proof is in the pudding. So let's take and turn this over to TJ. So TJ, I'm going to hand this off to you to give them a peek of what this looks like inside of Business Central and processing of sales orders.
Thanks, Bob. Now I'm going to share my screen and we can dive straight into the system and see what the process offers. Okay. Welcome everyone once again. Thanks for joining us today. We're excited to showcase ExFlow Sales Order to you. It's a solution designed to streamline processing of purchase orders you receive from your customers and automate sales order creation. We understand the frustrations of manual sales order entry based on POs that you receive. It's time consuming, especially if you have a lot of lines. It's prone to errors. It can lead to delays, inventory issues, and just a lot of things surrounding wrong processing of sales order. So during this demonstration, we would showcase how to automatically import your customer's purchase order, convert them into sales order in Business Central, reducing the risk of errors, ensuring a smooth process, faster process, automation, and eliminating manual data entry altogether. So based on the overview that you just saw with Bob, you can receive purchase orders via emails, paper documents, scanned documents, several ways by which you can receive these purchase orders, import them into the OCR machine to extract the information, import and validate into Business Central, validations like the ship to information, the item number, pricing, different types of validations that you can do in your BC environment. And documents with no errors to handle can be automatically created as sales orders in BC, no interaction by the AR person or the salesperson inside of BC, while those with errors to handle would sit in the error handling environment waiting for fix, and you can teach the system on how to do these things in future. So I'll dive straight into the demo. In case you're familiar with our AP solution, the process also starts from the ExFlow Data Capture, which is our OCR solution that we use to extract information. This is what the OCR solution looks like. We call it ExFlow Data Capture. And just like we bring in information for invoices as well, we also do the same thing for sales orders. Your orders can be sent in via email to a dedicated email account, can be forwarded, or you can simply upload it this way. And once it's uploaded or sent in, the system is going to create those documents for you this way. Once it's created and it's ready for verification, you can pick any of these invoices, verify the information, send it over to Business Central for processing, and then you can automate the entire process as you go along. So I'm going to run us through a couple of documents here, and then we'll see how the system is going to create them for me automatically in Business Central. So this is one purchase order that I have received from one of my customers. It's called Art of Aqua. And here the system has picked the information on my sales order for me, tried to interpret it here. We have header level interpretation as well as line level. For the header level interpretation, we have the customer details that the system can pick for me. In this case, it's picking Art of Aqua, and then other information as well that the system would validate for me. And I can just go through all of these details. Anyone that is checked marked in green, it means the system has picked the information. I can validate it by clicking on that field, and it tells me where that information is picked from. So I can say, oh yeah, this is correct. This is the vendor order number. This is where it's picking the order date from. This is correct. And then every other information that I need to validate. If I have the delivery dates information here, I can click on it and teach the system where to pick the information from. And if I don't have it, I can just enter to pass through for fields that are not mandatory. At the header level here as well, you can set up fields to be mandatory for some people that are strong on using ship to address information and things like that. You can set those up to be mandatory and tell the system to validate them when it gets to Business Central for you. Other information here, I can pick and just confirm that everything is okay. I have my delivery information here, which I can map to my ship to address in Business Central, and any other thing that I need to pick on this document. Also, I have my line information here. So for the lines, I want to pick all the line information that I have on my purchase order that I received. In this case, I have my product code. So the vendor would call it something like Del Doc. I have my quantity here. I have my unit of measure. I can also pick delivery dates if I have delivery dates specified on each line and it's different from the overall delivery date. Maybe each line needs to be delivered on different dates. I can specify that. And we also have miscellaneous codes as well that you can use to map additional fields that you might want to map in the future. All of this information you can pick. Description, we probably don't want to pick it because we don't want the system to override the description we have. We want it to use the default on our item card. But like I said, there's miscellaneous fields for you to do a mapping and pick whatever information you want to pick on this order. So once all of this information is picked for me, I will click OK to send it over to Business Central for processing. And what I can do is to automate this part as well and tell the system, as long as I get a purchase order from Art of Aqua, all the information is correctly validated, my line is properly picked as well. I don't need anybody to come on this page to come and click on anything. I can automate this by clicking on this function and telling the system to allow complete documents to bypass verification. So this is one automation point that you can turn on such that when your orders come in, you don't even do anything in this OCR. You would only come here in situations where you have a new customer that you're just receiving from and you're trying to validate and teach the system where to get the information from, or maybe an invoice or a PO type was changed by a customer and you need to update the information. If there's none of that and you receive the same thing frequently from a customer, you can just automate this so that your sales order creation process is extremely seamless. For high value customers, once it comes in, it would go straight to Business Central. As long as there are no processing errors, the system would create the sales order for you, release it if you have set it to do that, and you don't even do anything on that document until it goes to warehouse for shipping. So this is extremely good for time management and also for errors as well. If you have like 30, 50 lines, rather than having to type them line by line in Business Central, you can just automate this and send it over straight to BC. So we're going to look at how the system is going to handle this situation in Business Central for situations where I have the item existing, or situations where, in this case, the customer has called it DELDoc and maybe I don't even have this as item code DELDoc in my BC. How do I handle such scenarios as well? So that's all of what we're going to be looking at shortly. Another sample that we can also look at is this scenario where I have this purchase order. Almost everything is similar. I can just validate all of my information here. And then here I have 2-line items as well. Like I said, you could have as many lines as you want. The system would pick the information for you, validate it, and push it across to Business Central. And the third sample that we can also work through is also based on a different customer. In this case, you would see that system is highlighting the customer name for me and telling me to verify this because this is a new customer. I haven't processed anything for this customer Kronos before. So it's telling me it has seen that the customer name is Kronos, but I should validate it. So it's saying customer information is uncertain. And once I validate that and I say this is good, then next time I get a PO from Kronos, it just pushes it straight into BC as long as I've told it to allow complete documents to bypass. So that's what we have here in our OCR learning environment. The more you use the system, the less you would come here because you would train the system to pick information correctly, bypass it as long as all the information is correctly picked, and then you just go straight to BC. And most times you would only come here for situations where there are exceptions, or maybe something is not picked correctly, or the customer has made a change on their invoice type or PO type, sorry. All right, so that's the first phase of the sales order automation process: extracting the information, sending it over to Business Central, and also automating this part on what BC would do for you. Now let's go over to Business Central and see how these documents are processed when it gets to BC and the different things that we can do with our sales order. So this is my Business Central environment for sales order automation. Right now, I am in the sales order automation for ExFlow Role Center. You can have multiple role centers like we have just created one simple role center here that enables you to see the flow of the documents right here. It's an ExFlow demo sales order. You might put in these tiles in your environment for ease of work, or you can pin all the different batches and areas that you work with on ExFlow on your regular role center. But I'm using this simple role center here that just allows me to see everything at one glance, and then I can process it through. All right. So the first thing we have in our Business Central environment is the sales order batches. As you can see right now, I have 2 batches for my documents that are coming in from my OCR environment. I just created a batch for one of my customers here, Art of Aqua, and then for a default batch. And the difference between the two of these is because I have told the system that whenever I have a sales order from Art of Aqua, import it into this batch. And that's just because maybe this is a high value customer. We don't want any delays. And I want to always see at a glance the sales orders that we're processing for this customer. So I can decide to separate a batch for that customer. You don't necessarily have to do this based on customer. You can have your document view filter based on any field pretty much that we have on the sales order. In this case, I'm just setting it based on a sales a customer to say, import all my out of aqua documents here because I want to see it at a glance. And I also want it to go for release immediately. So I just want to create the document, release it immediately because it's high value. We don't want any delays for this customer. So that's what I've done in this case to say for out of aqua, filter for this customer number. When the document comes in, as long as there's no error, create and release it and let it go to warehouse immediately because of the type of customer we're dealing with. And then for all the other customers, use this default batch and just create the document. Let someone have to review and release it before it goes through. So you can set up different batches for your documents and have the creation type based on what you want to do. And also set up default location for these customers as well. So you don't have to manually select the locations on the documents that come in. So that's what I have for my sales order batches. And the next thing is when this document comes in, I'll go into my imported documents. In this case, I also have a job queue that runs every minute to pull whatever has been sent over from my OCR environment into BC. And this is what I have. I have the 2 out of Aqual documents and 1 Kronos document here that I've created. Now, these 3 documents are still sitting here for me because they have errors. Assuming there are documents that had come in with no errors, they just flow straight and they would get created. But because these have errors, I intentionally put some error documents here so we can see how the system will treat those errors, what we can do in situations like this. So I'm going to open one of these documents and then walk through the error. This is the first document I have here. This is my Dell doc sales, and the lines that have errors you can see have been highlighted for me here in red. The first issue or error I have in this case is system is telling me the unit of measure piece does not exist. Before I go into this document, I can always click on this function here to see the error details. Unit of measure piece does not exist, and the customer product code is not matched as well. I don't have an item called DellDoc in my BC environment. Pretty much the same error for all of these documents as well. This has 2 lines, but the unit of measure piece does not exist because maybe in my environment, I've called it PCS, but the customers would refer to them as piece. So I need to tell the system how to handle this scenario. So in this case, what can I do for this kind of document? I can tell the system for this customer out of Aqua, they always call it DellDoc. That's the product code they use. But in my BC environment, we have our item code, so I can do a matching. So I'll just click on these 3 dots here, and the system is asking me if I want to make a dynamic match, and I'll say yes, and it will tell me what am I matching this to. There's a drop down here. I'm not sure if you would see that because of the screen, but this is just a drop down to all the document types or the default line types we have in BC, GL accounts, items, resource, fixed asset, charge item, and all the relevant things that we have. So in this case, I'm going to tell the system to match it to item and what item number should it be matched to. So I'll just search for Dell docking station. And this is what we have in our Business Central environment. It's called 1007. So I've told the system, whenever you see this product code DellDoc, then know that it is for this item in BC. So the next time I import this purchase order, the system is not going to give me an error. It won't stop it because I have told it to do a match. So I'm going to click OK here, and that error is going to go. But I still have one more error, which is my unit of measure. So in this case, I'll do the same thing as well. Tell the system to do an OCR map and map these pieces to, I call it PCS in my environment. So I'll select PCS. So next time I have an order where it says pieces, it knows to match it to PCS. And once I click on that, all my errors have been resolved, and you can see automatically here has errors, it says no. Now I can do the same for all these other document type, but because I'm suspecting maybe in real life scenario that I have 20, 30 documents, most of them might actually be the same units of measure error. Rather than going into one of these one after the other to check if it's the same error or not, I can refresh my page, system would revalidate and tell me if there's still errors here, or I can just select all of them and batch create my sales order. So if there's still existing errors, it would validate and tell me this still has an error. If not, I can just create my sales order and the order gets created. And based on what I have told the system to do, so you can see 3 orders created, even though I had 3 lines with errors, but because I had solved the error for the other 2, which is the units of measure, it had applied it to the remaining 2 lines I have, created my sales order for me automatically. So now you can see that for my Art of Aqua, my documents, I have 9, and my default Chronos, I have 4 documents. It was 7 and 3 previously. Now, in this case, if I go into my sales order for Art of Aqua, you would see that my sales order would be created for me and the status is going to be released because that's what I told the system to do, create the order and release it immediately. And if I go into the other one, which is my default for every other customer, the system is just going to create the sales order and the status in this case is going to be open. It's not going to release it because that's what I want. I want someone to come here and review the document manually. So this is pretty much how you can automate your sales order process. You can tell the system what to do, define all your information, fix the error if you have it at once, and the next time the order comes in, you don't even get to do anything. It just pushes through all the way as long as there's no errors. Now, one final thing before I hand it over back to the team. Now that I have fixed the error in situations of the docking station address, I have fixed all information that I need to fix, units of measure. If I go back to my data capture environment and I push one document through and I just send this over to Business Central, you would notice that this would just seamlessly fly to Business Central, no errors, no issues. Once I run my import sales order function that the system would run for me, and there's no errors in this case, it just creates the document. You would see here, imported document is 1, but I don't have anything on this page because there's no errors to process. It's already gone through. Now my number of documents has increased from 9 to 10. So nothing for me to do here as long as I've fixed all the problems, although this other number already exists for this customer because I'm reprocessing it again. It tells me I need to go and update my external document number, but everything has gone through. The system is going to create this for me this way, and I don't need to do anything here. So this order automation process is extremely good for saving time because you don't get to input multiple lines of your sales order manually. Extremely good as well for doing your mapping in situations where the customers would just come in with different things and you have to remember, oh, this item code, what does it mean in our solution? What's the item number that we use for it? Just set up that mapping. The system is intelligent enough to know what you're trying to map it to the next time, and it eliminates all this manual work and saves your time for you. Thanks everyone. Do we have any questions in the chat for now? Not yet. So I'm going to hand it over back to you, Bob, Anthony, to take it over.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you so much, TJ. And we'll open the floor for questions now. But if we don't have any, just let everyone know again that today was recorded and we'll be sending that shortly via email along with the presentation deck. So we'll hang out for a minute. If we don't have any questions, we'll go ahead and let everyone go for the day.
Actually, I got a few more comments to make, if that's okay, because I think it's important to recognize that this was a fantastic demo that was just done. Very well done, TJ, and thank you for that. But there's a lot of other things to keep in mind before we let you depart, and this is probably specific to you understanding what we're getting into here as far as our solutions and other things are concerned. So hopefully everybody has a chance to see my screen.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, let's move on then. And, from that perspective, there are some immediate benefits you should be thinking about when you're automating your sales order processing. And as you watch the things that TJ was doing, you saw that the automated order importation and smart validation really does save you time in the matching and validations and things that go on. These are tasks that typically would have to be performed by an order entry person, and now you can let the system do the work for you. And that's the whole goal of having an automated system, is to be able to make that happen. We're also then creating the orders. So again, reducing that manual order entry time and eliminating any time and transcription errors, which is also very, very important. And then it engages the order processing within Business Central. So now as the order begins to proceed and move forward, you're starting to see that you can view, you can manage the status. There's all kinds of different activities that can kick off because of the fact that you now have this in place, which is something that is the goal of automation, and reducing the cycle time it takes to get orders in and then moving it forward and allowing you then to see the results of that from a revenue perspective. And then finally, reporting and analytics, full status of order processing and order archive management. We mentioned previously we have other types of tools that you can take advantage of in regards to archiving your orders. But again, full automation in what we're doing when it comes to your sales orders because of what ExFlow is doing for you. And these are immediate benefits. Now, when we kicked off today's call, we talked about some of the challenges that are out there in the market and what were some of the real reasons for you to take advantage of something such as this type of automation. The quicker you can get revenue into the business, the faster your organization can grow. And one of the real reasons also that you see out there for why we chose the need for speed and the race car as you see them here is that if you want to win the race, as we come through this time period and what we'll say is sort of a season of life for where we are with the economy, you want to be the first one to come out of that curve, and you want to be ahead of your competition, and you want to be ahead of what's going on. And this gives you an opportunity to do that now, because now you can add full-on sales order processing to what is taking place, and you can help accelerate that spend management effort and cash preservation effort that your CFO is taking on. So the race is really won in the curve. And now as we start to proceed towards it, this tool gives you that capability to do that. So we encourage you to take advantage of that. Now, as far as who we are as an organization and what we can help you with, Sign Up is that leader in what we deliver in procure to pay, in order to cash, and in record to report solutions. We do encourage you to reach out to us if you have further questions. I didn't see any come through the chat panel. I don't think, Anthony, you saw any as well. But we're here to help you, and we have a legion of partners that can also assist you with our solutions and other things going forward. So, Anthony, any further questions that might have come through?
Nope, not seeing anything on my end, Bob, but thank you for the additional comments, and thank you again to TJ for the extensive demonstration. And with that, I think we'll just give it one more minute. If we don't have any questions coming through, then we'll go ahead and just let everyone go for today.
Okay, well, fantastic. And we appreciate everybody's time here today. We have customers that are using this today and are reporting some phenomenal results as far as what it's doing for their business and the acceleration of that revenue coming in. So don't tarry, don't stand by the wayside. Take advantage of what you have in front of you here. And we'll certainly do our best to assist you in getting to that same level of performance. So I guess with that, then, Anthony, I'll turn it back over to you. But thank everybody for joining us here today.
Thank you, Bob, and thank you, everybody. Keep an eye out for that email with the recording and the presentation deck. And with that, have a great rest of your day. Thank you for joining us.